Australia's cultural capital, and it's the city that claims to have the best coffee in the entire world. But is it just hype? Is it just a marketing ploy? Well, we're lacing up our boots and heading out into Melbourne today to find out for ourselves. I'm joined by my wife Claire, and we're going to venture out for a trip to discover the sights and the hidden parts of the city of Melbourne.
Coming up, starting from the iconic Flinders Street station, we're hunting down street art and the best coffee in the hidden laneways before navigating the 19th century arcades and the historic sites before reaching the Yarra River in time for lunch.
So this is Flinders Street Station, opened in 1910, really one of the iconic places in central Melbourne. And at the front of Flinders Street Station, there are the clocks that have been here for years, and this over the years has become a popular meeting place to meet on the steps under the clocks at Flinders Street Station.
Just a skip and a jump from Flinders Street is Hosier Lane and a labyrinth of laneways. This is the home of Melbourne street art. Just sit back and look at some of these beautiful art pieces. And then it got even better.
AC/DC Lane in Melbourne. We couldn't miss this one out. And there he is, the late and great Bon Scott, who died in 1980, who was the lead vocalist for AC/DC. And there's a tribute to the late Malcolm Young. What a great piece of art. It is Malcolm saying, "Come on, St. Peter, how many bloody times are you going to make me play Hell's Bells before you let me through the gates, mate?" Well, they claim that Melbourne serves the best coffee in the world. And coming from New Zealand, we might have cause to dispute that. But today, we're going to put it to the test. We're going to get a flat white from one of the best coffee outlets in Melbourne. See how it goes. So we're in the Quarter in Degraves Street in Melbourne. Reputedly one of the best places to enjoy a flat white in Melbourne. And we're going to put it to the test. See what coffee's like at the Quarter. Right, now to put it to the test. Flat white at the Quarter in Melbourne. See how it goes. That's damn good.
After a decent caffeine hit, we were ready for some exploring. In particular, we were looking for some of the 19th century arcades and sites of old Melbourne.
outside St Paul's is the statue of Captain Matthew Flinders. The station here was named after Captain Flinders. Captain Flinders was the first person to circumnavigate the whole of Australia, and I understand gave Australia its name.
Heading north, we pass through the Block Arcade, one of Melbourne's most ornate and historic Victorian-era shopping precincts, opened in 1892. The Royal Arcade is known for its soaring glass canopies and intricate mosaic tiled floors. The Block Arcade leads into the Royal Arcade, which opened in 1870 and is well known for the mythical carved figures of Gog and Magog flanking the southern entry, chiming out the hour, on the hour, every hour. Heading further north, we cross Bourke Street, Melbourne's swish shopping hub full of department stores and street performers. And then we got to the State Library of Victoria. As people played chess in front of the great facade, others were protesting against housing cuts.
Cutting costs on the essential services that go alongside public housing to look after some of the most vulnerable in our society.
We headed inside because we wanted to look at the Trobe reading room, a spectacular 6-storey octagonal domed space at the heart of the State Library Victoria, opened in 1913, famous for its historic silky oak desks and traditional green lamps. And until January 2027, you can visit the Rebel Heart exhibition in the State Library, love letters and other declarations. It's all completely free.
So we're about halfway through our walking tour, and it's been brilliant so far, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been awesome.
And we've just discovered, because we're at the very end of May, that all public transport in Victoria, so anywhere in Melbourne and beyond, until the end of May, is completely free. So this is the state government's response to the current oil crisis, which is an unbelievable offer, really. Presumably a very expensive one. But we may well take advantage of that this afternoon. But otherwise, our walking tour continues.
So we headed back south to the Yarra River and were soon tempted by some lunchtime refreshment at Riverland.
Cheers.
With the afternoon ahead, there was still so much more to come. A tram to Fitzroy Gardens, looking for Captain Cook's house, weddings on the steps of Parliament, and a metro to the Shrine of Remembrance. short tram ride took us to East Melbourne and Fitzroy Gardens, one of Melbourne's most historic and beautiful gardens, made even more spectacular by the fiery colours of autumn. Our first stop was the Conservatory, a classic Spanish mission-style building completed in 1930, but we were on the lookout for Captain Cook's cottage. And then there it was, an old English cottage, James Cook's cottage, in the middle of Melbourne. But is it all it appears to be?
And this is Cook's cottage. This Cook's cottage was constructed in 1755 by the parents of Captain James Cook in the English village of Great Ayton in North Yorkshire. And it's a point of conjecture amongst historians whether James Cook, who was born in 1728, ever lived in the dwelling, but it's thought he at least would have visited the cottage. And so it was sold in the early 1930s and taken apart brick by brick and transported to Melbourne in 253 cases and 40 barrels on board the ship, the Port Dunedin, from Hull. And the cottage was rebuilt in 1934 and has been in Fitzroy Gardens in Melbourne ever since.
Leaving the gardens behind, we headed past the old Treasury building and the statue of General Gordon. We stumbled across a collection of celebratory parties.
So here's the Parliament buildings, and here's some very smartly dressed people. What do you reckon it is, Claire?
I think it's a graduation or a celebration or a school ball or something.
I don't know. It could be a wedding. There is a wedding going in up these spectacular steps. In fact, more than one wedding going on.
There was no wedding breakfast for us, so we went underground to the metro and took advantage of the free service to Anzac Station and headed to the Shrine of Remembrance. The Shrine of Remembrance is Victoria's national memorial, honouring the service and sacrifice of Australians in war and peacekeeping. The shrine is home to a very impressive museum. It's free entry and it's open every day.
There's the Melbourne skyline, and just to the left you can just make out the Tasman Sea. So we're back at Town Hall Station after our walk-in tour. How are the legs feeling?
Pretty tired. I'm very hungry.
So as night fell, it was time to take a pause before resuming our journey the following morning for one more exciting visit. Off we went to Queen Victoria Market.
It's Sunday morning in Melbourne and there's only one place to go, and that's Queen Victoria Market. But there's a bit of drizzle in the air. It's about 25 minutes walk from where we're staying, so we're going to take advantage of the last day of the free trams.
Portuguese tart. Because we both like little tarts. I think this is that kind of egg custard base.
Oh, that does look good.
I like this colour.
Try the other one.
Might try the purple.
Well, we've had a great time exploring Melbourne. Some of the sights, some of the laneways, some of the hidden surprises. Hope you've enjoyed being with us and taking a look around this great city. Please join us for another Venture Out with Russ very soon. Until then, goodbye from both of us.
Goodbye.